long years we have waited, and today we finally got to see the first gameplay footage for Dragon Age the Veilguard, aka Dave. And oh boy, do I have a lot of thoughts about this. On the one hand, this reveal trailer won me back a little bit. After that dumpster fire hero reveal trailer from last weekend, which looked like a freaking mobile game ad, I was extremely nervous about what Bioware was cooking up. And while I'm happy to report the actual game doesn't look like Overwatch, I do have some other concerns about the gameplay, which we're gonna dive into in this video. I also sat down with Mr. Hulthen afterwards to get his thoughts on Dave, so I'll be sharing his perspective too throughout the video. Without further ado, let's dive into Dragon Age the Veilguard. One of my biggest concerns coming into this reveal was the artistic direction of the game. The first reveal trailer was a bit too bright and poppy compared to the dark fantasy tone we're used to seeing in Dragon Age. Thankfully, Dave appears to maintain a dark aesthetic in its environmental designs. Minrathos is the capital of the Tevinter Imperium, a country run by mages, many of whom dabble in forbidden blood magic. There is stark inequality in this society, and one of the first things we see is a beggar holding his hand out for change. Varric and Rook pay him no mind. The downtrodden in this society are often invisible in plain sight. Dave uses dark color palettes, deep blues and greens to convey a dark fantasy aesthetic, and I quite like this. I've seen people say it's too colorful, but dark fantasy doesn't need to be devoid of color entirely. Origins had a lot of color in many parts, and Cyberpunk 2077 is a very dark and colorful game as well. It's more about the atmosphere and tone, and I feel like Bioware has done a pretty good job on the overall art direction in this category. As for the lighting and graphical fidelity, it's okay. Nothing mind-blowing here. I think Cyberpunk outclasses this by a country mile, especially in terms of lighting, but I think it'll get the job done, and overall I like the style they've gone with here. But unfortunately, I cannot say the same thing about the combat. This was probably one of the most disappointing aspects of this gameplay reveal. Bioware has decided to go back to a Dragon Age 2 style combat system with an emphasis on action rather than strategy with pause mechanics. Instead of 3 companions, you can only have 2 in your party, and the worst part is you cannot directly swap to them at all. So it's basically a Dragon Age hack-and-slash game with a Mass Effect-style companion and command system. Also, I don't know what they were thinking about with that action bar, but it takes up way too much real estate on the screen. I really hope there's an option to hotkey buttons in this game, because I really just don't like the way the action bar has been implemented.
I would have liked to see more of that pause wheel.
Here's
the thing, though. I don't think there is... I'm going to watch what I say, but I don't think that there's much more to it. I just think that you pause the game and you pick the skills they use, because that is what you do in Mass Effect.
Right. Exactly.
It's Mass Effect.
Yeah. Yeah, they've definitely they've kind of Mass Effect-ified the Dragon Age system, because it seems like that. It's like the reduction to 2 companions instead of 3. We see this like action wheel, which, like you said, similar to Mass Effect, and I don't know if we're going to be able to actually directly swap to these companions.
No.
It doesn't look like it from what we've seen, and I'm like, I don't know, that definitely rubs me the wrong way. Like, I'm not gonna totally dog on it before I've had a chance to play it, but like, man, just to elaborate on the piece about not being able to swap to companions, a keen reader noticed that the IGN exclusive article about Dragon Age the Veilguard was edited. Previously, it stated, among other things, Bioware confirmed that the Veilguard will feature 7 playable party members. The current version removed the word playable, saying only that there will be 7 party members, which suggests that we will not actually be able to directly play as our squad for the first time ever in Dragon Age. That's pretty disappointing, because that was one of the fun things about Dragon Age, was like being able to directly swap to different companions. And I really liked the style they had in Inquisition, where it was like... They did push a little bit more action-oriented. You didn't need to swap to your companions if you liked just playing your main character, but they also had those tactical elements in the game for players who liked that. Like, they had the overhead camera that you could swap to. They had the different the pause system and everything. And so One, I mean, we didn't even see them. I guess bringing up the action wheel is pausing the combat. So like maybe that's the only option to pause the combat. Yeah. Also, like it covers the entire screen.
Yeah.
I really hope there's an option for just like hotkeying abilities if you're playing on PC at least.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not going to want to pull that up every time I want to queue something up necessarily.
There should be a setting for like making it smaller. Or having hotkeys, or both. I think that would have been great, just for accessibility reasons, because that is just, it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more action oriented, you want it to be fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, pause is great, but when you're moving away entirely from controlling companions, where the pause made much more sense and being strategic, this is just mainly about, just, I don't know really so much what's the point of pausing, except for because I seldom do it in Mass Effect.
Right.
Sometimes it works for certain situations like boss encounters and stuff like that. Then I feel like, oh, okay, it's important to think of what skills am I using, what do I want to combo with, and supposedly there is a combo system in this game as well. So Michael Gamble tweeted that as well. So you can combo your abilities with your companion's abilities and stuff. So it's
the gameplay in the trailer focused on a rogue MC who wields a sword as well as a bow, with the ability to swap seamlessly between the two. The melee combat just wasn't very impressive to me, unfortunately. Your attacks should pack a punch, but the animations and sound design are just too thin. It's weak sauce.
But the first thing that struck me was that, the combat seems fun, but I would have liked it to be grittier and, more gory. I want more blood splatter. I want more of like a retread of Origins in that way. I wanted to see finishers. I really want to see finishers in this game, like, chopping heads off and stuff like that, because that is so satisfying in Origins.
Yeah.
And I was like a little disappointed that there wasn't anything like, oh, wow, look at this badass thing. Because at one point they slice a dude off a cliff, and it would have been so cool to have like a kick there or something. This is Sparta sort of moments. That would have been amazing.
I think I know what part you're talking about. The enemy just kind of like falls back and
he flies off after he just smacks him.
There was no weight to it.
Yeah, it needs to be more weighty. So I said that at the stream as well, that if Bioware is watching, they need to make sure that it feels more weighty. Like it's too light.
Yeah.
The enemies feel too light.
Yeah. For me, I think the combat's looking like a 6 or 7 out of 10 at this point.
Yeah.
Like I think there are some changes they could make that would punch it up to maybe like an 8. One thing I thought was funny about this trailer is that the party was entirely comprised of rogues. Varric's a rogue, Harding's a rogue, and the main character was a rogue too. So we haven't seen any warrior or mage gameplay in depth, although Nev, a mage companion, makes a cameo towards the end, but we didn't get to see any epic spells or whirlwind barbarian action. So I really want to see what the other classes play like in Dragon Age the Veilguard. Hopefully Bioware will show that off in future marketing videos. Players will be able to create a customized protagonist. We saw a human male rook in this gameplay reveal, but it has been confirmed we'll also have the option to choose elf, dwarf, or kunari, in addition to humans, so that's definitely good to know. Bioware has said they will show off the character creator in future reveals, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. The dialogue wheel is also present in Dragon Age the Veilguard, including the purple humorous dialogue options we all loved from Dragon Age 2. Speaking of wheels, what'd you think about the dialogue wheel?
It's just very Bioware-ish.
Yeah. It was, I noticed during one of the dialogue options that they had the little, like, purple laugh emoji from Dragon Age 2. I was like, the purple dialogue options are back, baby!
Oh, I don't remember. What's the purple dialogue options?
It's like this, it's kind of like the sarcastic or, like, humor. I think it was called, like, humorous tone for Hawk in Dragon Age 2.
Andromeda as well. The most important thing to me is that there are actually meaningful differences in the dialogue, and that it's not just the same thing, but in a different tone.
Yeah. It seems like this will basically be a hybrid of Inquisition and DA2's dialogue system, which for me is good, so long as the writing allows for a variety of RP options. But this is something we won't be able to fully judge until the game comes out. They did show right towards the end, like when Varric was about to go try to talk to Solas, like you had a dialogue option that seemed like an actual choice, or how they're going to present the actual like serious choices in the game. Like there was one option to be like, good luck, buddy. And then the other one was like, no, Varric, don't do it. So I'm sure that specific choice probably doesn't have huge ramifications, but I imagine the choices that do will be presented in that way. So it's kind of similar to Inquisition where, they show, but unlike Inquisition, they weren't displaying like the outcome, which I think is good.
No.
Which I think is good. I had mixed feelings about them displaying the actual outcome in Inquisition. I felt like it was it's like, hey, spoiler alert.
Yeah. You want to be surprised for sure.
Yeah. Dragon Age the Veilguard has 7 companions that will join us on our journey to stop Solas. And I'm going to be real. I'm not that impressed with what we've seen so far. Particularly when it comes to considering the romantic angle, none of these characters really stood out to me. I'm not totally sold on any of these companions yet. I gotta be real. Like I'm like looking at.
I gotta say, I'm gonna admit something, and I'm fully prepared that people are gonna get pissed at me. But when they were released some of the concept art pieces for this game, there is a Kunari woman who shows up. And she looks pretty, let's just say, curvaceous. And I was like, oh, damn. This is going to be oh, my God. She looks fit, she looks powerful, but you don't really see much of her. It's just a silhouette. And then we got this reveal of the Kunari companion.
Yeah.
And I was like, she didn't look like what I had imagined in my head. I get that they're going for this dragon hunter lady, barbarian type character, but still, like that idea that they put in my head, planted all those years ago with the reveal of the concept art, I was like, damn, I can't wait to meet her.
No, we definitely got catfished.
Yeah, a little bit at least.
I was hoping for kind of like a Morrigan tier baddie in this game. And like we really just don't have that among any of the characters. So I'm like, I'm huffing a little bit of copium now. I'm hoping that there's like some advisor character that we haven't seen yet that might like fill that role. Cause like I know in Inquisition we could romance like Josephine and characters that were not our direct companions. So I'm like, please, for the love of God.
Baldur's Gate 3, they really stepped that up. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Minthara romance. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah. You're not gonna. It's gonna be difficult to top BG3's romances, I'm sure.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters, it's like, oh, this character's like kind of cute, but there's no like, oh, this character's hot. This character's like a baddie. This character's like, Eve from Stellar Blade or anything like that.
Yeah, no. That never in a million years that's gonna happen.
But a particular returning dwarf character did catch the eye of Mr. Hulthen.
Scott Harding. I always loved her because obviously it's Ali Hillis, so naturally I would. So yeah, Liara. So I'm gonna romance her. I like her. I think she was one of the more interesting characters in Inquisition.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm glad she's a companion because I'm gonna probably mainline her all the time.
Yeah,
Nev, I think could be interesting. I kind of like her boss girl vibe. We'll have to see, but I guess, I would say that she has some all right first impressions to me.
Depending on how things shake out, I might just be role-playing as an incel. I guess we'll see.
True. But then again, hey, Ali Hillis, it's Liara, so, obviously.
We'll have to see the actual game to see if these characters are likable as homies. And I'm holding out hope against cope that there will be some badass advisor babe waiting in the wings out there.
Well, what have we here? Are you a vulture, I wonder? A scavenger, poking amidst a corpse whose bones were long since cleaned? Or merely an intruder, come into these darkspawn-filled wilds of mine in search of easy prey?
I do expect we'll see some returning companions from previous games, at least as cameos. It's common for Dragon Age to completely cycle out old companions. In fact, I think Varric is the only companion who was playable in more than one game. But he won't be playable in Veilguard, which is certainly disappointing. Bioware has confirmed that the Inquisitor will be making a return, and will have the ability to customize their appearance, much like we could with Hawk in Dragon Age Inquisition, so this is a W.
Wonder what's going to happen if you romanced Solas. I did in my playthrough. That's why I hate him so much. I want to kill him really hard.
Yeah.
Then we have people like Kala, who's like, oh, don't hurt my baby boy. I was
exactly.
like, are you for real?
Yeah.
He needs to die.
Yeah, That's going to be really fun because, yeah, there's a lot of people who ship Solas who are like, I can save him.
No, you cannot. The guy has to die. He stabs you so hard in the back, and it's like, oh, woe is me. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. I had two characters that have these like polar opposite responses. Like I had one female elf character that I romance Solas, and like that's a character where I'm going to bring that into the next game and try to like save Solas. And then I have like a dwarven warrior character is like, I'm killing this motherfucker. So I'm excited to have those Inquisitors back into the next game.
It is Solas not killing Solas. I'm killing Solas.
At the end of the day, I'm still cautiously excited for Dragon Age the Veilguard. This gameplay reveal did quiet some of my doubts about the game, but it also introduced new concerns such as the lackluster combat. I really want this game to be good. Dragon Age is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I've been waiting for the continuation of the Trespasser story for years now. I think the storytelling and the choice and consequence aspects are going to be the make or break for Dragon Age the Veilguard. As long as the combat and graphics are serviceable, and as long as the game isn't a buggy mess at launch, the Veilguard can still shine and succeed if Bioware nails the story elements. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Dragon Age the Veilguard launches this fall on PC and consoles. I'll definitely be covering major updates to this game moving forward, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Also, be sure to check out Mr. Hulthen and subscribe to him if you haven't already. Dude makes banger RPG content. I'll put a link to his channel in the description below. And as always, big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.